Hi, everyone. It's Leah. So glad to see you this morning. Today, we're talking about one of the classes in the financial management portion of the program. This is session 6, establishing a system for managing. There are 3 components of a system for managing from the way that we look at it. The first is a prioritized to-do list, so that you're doing the things that are most important first, but not neglecting the things that might not fall into that category. You're at least categorizing them and knowing where they fit. The second, a process for managing everything that comes in and everything that goes out. And then finally, a weekly meeting. So let's talk about the proverbial to-do list. So when we're talking about your system for managing, one of the things that I recommend is you first separate the things that you do on a routine basis. So those are things like, it's probably a really good idea to balance your checkbook every month and pay your bills on a routine schedule. And you can schedule those things. But the things that go on this type of to-do list where you're going to prioritize them are those things that either move your business forward, which I'm categorizing as innovation, or things that hold your business back, or backlog that you may have built up, like writing a standard operating procedure or getting things organized so that you can share them with a potential employee. So these are those bigger projects and things you've put off that you want to get done. Those recurring things, the first category, schedule those on a calendar so that you've got a set time for doing them. You set aside that time, you get them done every month or every week or every time they're due. And then the innovation and backlog things, the things that are going to move your business forward or prevent it from moving forward, those things, I want you to try the Eisenhower method. So the Eisenhower method is named after General Dwight D. Eisenhower. So he used to be the commander, before he was the president of the United States, he was the supreme allied commander of the U.S. Armed Forces. And in that, he had a whole lot of people under his management. He had a lot to take on. So he had this method of prioritizing that he would teach his staff so that they would all be working on the things that were most important and most urgent. So this block came to be known as an Eisenhower block, and the method, the Eisenhower method, it's very famous. I certainly can't take any credit for it. This is something that's been passed on through business schools forever. But it says in that top left-hand corner, categorize things that are urgent, going across the top, and going down the side, important. So these are things, the examples that are often given. A crying baby, that's pretty urgent and important. You're not going to get much else done unless you take care of that first. A kitchen fire, duh. Some telephone calls or emails. Those urgent things that are also important, just do them and get them out of the way. Prioritize them, set a time for them, and get them done. Now then, when they're not urgent and not important, those are things that they are important to do, but if you don't do them right now or today, you're going to have to get to them. So these are the kind of things like exercise and vacations and having a plan. So we've talked about planning before, but if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail, right? So these things, plan, put them on your schedule. Go ahead, and when you sit down with yourself and have that weekly business meeting we'll be talking about, get them in the plan for next week. Then now we're going to talk about things that are urgent but not important. Here's a real opportunity. Yes, they are urgent. And these are things like interruptions. We will talk a little bit more about interruptions, but most of us are interrupted at least a dozen times a day these days. And social media and email are the preponderance method of those interruptions, that and spam phone calls that we all work to get rid of. Distractions. Distractions are things like, I don't know, it's urgent, but it's not important. So you really need to take care of going and picking up that medication. It's not the kind that's going to keep you alive, but it's the kind that if you get sunburned, you'll be able to put it on you and you're planning to go to the beach. Those kinds of things. And then some other phone calls. Then there's so if you can, those are things that if you have somebody to delegate them to, delegate them. If you can't delegate them, what I've found is that understanding your circadian rhythm and knowing when you're the most productive, these are the kind of things, if they're urgent but not important, do them when you're kind of worn out and you don't have the brain power to do those things that are important and urgent. Make sense? Then the fourth category, it's not urgent and it's not important. So this is trivia, busy work, and time wasters. So this can often be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through social media for no apparent purpose. These are the things you can drop. And just by dropping them, you've taken out one whole quadrant of how you were spending your time. Now, what you want to do is if you measure the size of these boxes, you would want to be spending your time on those things that most of your time on things that were urgent and important, or important but not urgent as a second category. And then not important but urgent as a third, and not urgent, not important, not at all. So the preponderance of your time on the first one, the second, and you can literally lay out your calendar for a week and look at how much time you're going to be devoting to those things that are urgent and important, or those things that are important but not urgent. Make sense? So the second component of the system for managing is setting up a method to manage what comes in and goes out. Because today we get a barrage. We still get all kinds of snail mail. And as hard as you try to cut it off, it still keeps coming in. But for every one piece of snail mail you get, I bet you get 5 or 10 emails. One of the things that's important to do is figure out what those categories are so that you can set up some kind of file structure. So when you've dealt with something that comes in, you've got some place to put it, particularly if it's an important email or an important form or an important filing or something that you've had to do that you know you'll have to do again. So you want to be able to go back and figure out where you put it. This is also pretty important, having this file structure so when you hire someone for your business, you've got a file structure for your business information so that they can find it. You got to know where to store your important information and where you can find it. Structure it in a way that makes it easy to use and that makes sense to use, but certainly build that structure. And then you're going to establish a little cadence to manage that mail that's coming in, that snail mail, as well as social media, because it's one of those categories of things that you do that can expand to take up the available time that you're willing to give it. Set up some goals for yourself. So these are my goals. They may not be your goals. My goal is not allow backlog to build and not allow the incoming items to interrupt my workflow. Yours may be different, but I know many people who the minute I email them, they're answering back. Or the minute something goes out in a text, they're stopping what they're doing. Or social media can go out and they're commenting on it immediately. That's an interruption. And it's been proven that the amount of time the interruption takes is doubled when it takes in the time that it takes to get back to picking up where you left off, because the half-life of information is so quick. So you're gone from a task for 15 minutes while you're interrupted. Guess what? It's going to take you 15 minutes to clear the interruption and then at least another 15 minutes to figure out what you were doing and where you left off. So your initial sort, you can use this for your snail mail and for your email. Junk mail that you don't need, like promotions that you're not interested in, or all of these ads, immediately dispose of it. Don't even, do a scan, flip, 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 flip on the email. Go down the list. Get rid of it all, put it in the trash. Periodicals. How many times have you thrown away a stack of old magazines that you really love and you're going to go back to and read that article or whatever? Nope, keep only the current issue. If there's an article that's in there that's so good, you want to keep it, whether it's electronic or whether it's paper. Copy that article and save it in a folder that you can go back to with that topic. If you're looking for entrepreneurship, if you're looking for articles on your specific business or marketing ideas, whatever, save it, put it there, but get rid of the master periodical, because it'll be hard to find if you don't do that. You'll be looking through a long stack of stuff or a lot of emails. If the mail, so the three categories, junk, periodicals, we've dealt with those. Now we're getting to mail addressed to you. Sort that into 3 piles or into electronic folders. So this is the information, those special offers, sales, solicitations, keep them for 1 week. If you're thinking that you might be interested in doing that, keep it for 1 week. So anything over a week old automatically gets deposited. Bills. Try to get onto the cycle where now that we've worked on our budgets and you know what expenses you've got coming up this week, I hope, pay the bills on your budget for this week. If you're ahead of plan, you can then pay any installment loans or credit card bills. Take advantage of lowering the interest by paying early. And actions, if you can't do an action in less than 10 minutes, add the item to your Eisenhower list, your to-do list, so that you aren't completely distracted with doing something to the detriment of getting something more important done. I like to establish goals. So my goal, my daily goal for handling all of these things is I will handle my incoming mail and resulting actions in less than an hour a day. And I'll end up each day with less than what I started with. So your goals might be more lofty. I felt pretty good about myself when I could at least establish this goal. Finally, category number 3 of setting up a system for managing, hold a weekly business meeting. Now, who comes to this business meeting? You, just you. That doesn't mean you don't have a weekly business meeting with your business partners or with your employees or with your staff. It doesn't mean that you don't have a business meeting with your spouse or your family. But first, prepare for that meeting by having a weekly business meeting for yourself. So why? This helps you establish that drumbeat for taking care of the business of your life. And if you do it, it's a gift that reduces your stress because you stop worrying about one thing while you're doing another. You know that voice inside your head that says, oh, you should be doing something. You should be doing something about this. When you're actively focused on getting something else done that was more urgent and more important. It saves you time because it prevents emergencies. And it saves you money because having that weekly business meeting, it stops you from missing something. This is when you can pay those bills, or keeps you from stopping in the store for one thing, or calling about something that's late and you got to do something about it. So give yourself this gift. It doesn't have to be long. You can do it in less than an hour. I do mine on Sunday afternoons. I just have that little business meeting and I plan my whole week out for the next week and get everything at least scheduled. Even at first, if you can only schedule an hour or two, start with that and set yourself a reminder for that day and time. Schedule it like a meeting you would schedule with an important client. Prepare for your meeting. So just like you prepare for any other meeting, show up ready to go. Get everything you're going to need in one place so you're not bouncing around. For example, get all your mail, including your email, your bills and statements, your to-do list. And if you're doing snail mail, bring your trash can along. The other thing I like to do is while as I'm preparing to start my business meeting, I like to do anything that I can put on automatic. So I like to start the washing machine and start my wash then, or throw the sheets in the washing machine so they're done for another week, or get the dishwasher going. So by time for dinner, all the dishes are clean and you can unload it and start with a fresh, or get dinner started. My things on my list may be different than your things on your list, but I just offer these as someone who's been studying this for a very long time. Then conduct your meeting. So you can definitely conduct your quick financial review. How are you doing against what you planned, your weekly spending, all your bills, all of those things, and then take action. So all these things that we've just been talking about, this is when you do those. This is when you get those done and you update your list and get yourself ready for the next week. Now then, if you really want to get ambitious, you can expand this meeting. So you can make it a couple hours long and clean your space up, do your laundry. Why do I say this? It takes a whole lot less time when these things are scheduled and you do it all at once. Of course, it's a good practice to put things away when you take them out, but we all know we can get behind, and you still got to mop and dust a little bit every now and then and wipe down that furniture. Psychologically, nobody wants to come home to a dirty place. I don't. I hate to walk in the house and have stuff be laying all over that I've left out. And doing laundry on a schedule, if you can expand it, it ensures you have clean clothes. I know I've been to some business owners' houses for a meeting, and they've had to keep that laundry room door closed because I could tell that they had more laundry stacked up behind that door than you would have believed. And then run your errands. So make a list to run your errands in chronological order. Now, I like to do it where I'm only making right turns, because making left turns costs gas and it costs money. So I do the right turn thing. Put everything you need to go run your errands in one place. And when you go shopping, try to get everything. Shop from a list, preferably a list of menu items that you're going to cook for the next week or make for yourself or prepare for your lunch for the next week. And try to get one whole week so you don't have to stop at the little Circle K and spend more money than you needed to picking up milk or picking up this or that. So homework, what's the homework? Your to-do list. Make or update your list and separate it into recurring and backlog, and then try the Eisenhower method and bring the results to class. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed this.